Not far away from us is the White House, the home of self-professed devout Catholic Joe Biden.
Good one.
Now, I will say this about President Biden.
Pray for him.
He talks a good game. He goes to Mass. He carries a rosary. But as someone who has studied politics and taught political science, I can tell you the talk is cheap. If you really want to know what someone's priorities are, look at how they spend money. And lucky us, a couple weeks ago, President Biden released a budget. And I'll cut right to the chase. This is the worst budget proposal I have seen in my adult life. It is a disaster for pro-lifers. Let me give you some of the details. The President Biden budget calls for the repeal of the Dornan Amendment. That would make it possible for the DC Medicaid program to fund elective abortion with taxpayer dollars. It calls for a 19% increase in Title X family planning funding. In layman's terms, that's a slush fund for abortion facilities. President Trump was able to exclude Planned Parenthood from Title X, but the Biden administration, sadly, is now working to restore their eligibility. The Biden budget calls for a 72% increase in the United Nations Population Fund. The UN Population Fund supports legal abortion. Even worse, it supports the coercive population control policies in China, including forced abortions. But it gets worse. It gets much, much worse. President Biden's budget calls for the repeal of the Hyde Amendment. It is the first presidential budget proposal in 28 years that calls for the repeal of the Hyde Amendment. Let me repeat that. This is the first presidential budget proposal in 28 years that does not include the Hyde Amendment. And if you don't know about the Hyde Amendment, it limits the ability of the federal government to fund abortions through Medicaid. So is the position of self-professed Catholic Joe Biden that abortion should not only be legal, but paid for with taxpayer dollars. This is unprecedented, even for a Democrat. 7 of the 8 budgets proposed by President Clinton include the Hyde Amendment. All 8 budgets proposed by President Obama include the Hyde Amendment. But President Biden's budget, no Hyde Amendment. So he wants my tax dollars, your tax dollars, our tax dollars to fund abortion. Now, if a budget is passed on the Hyde Amendment, we know what will happen. If abortions are free or heavily subsidized, abortion rates go up. It's basic economics, it's common sense. And we have a lot of research showing that the Hyde Amendment saves lives. Over 15 academic studies show you limit taxpayer funding of abortion, abortion rates go down. The Center for Reproductive Rights did a study in 2010. They found the Hyde Amendment saved 1 million lives. My Lozier Institute study, which I came out with in 2016, revised 2020, showed the Hyde Amendment saves 2.4 million lives since 1976 and continues to save 60,000 lives every year. So please, don't let anyone tell you that pro-life political activity has been for naught. There are 2.4 million people walking around today who owe their lives to the Hyde Amendment. Now, when Joe Biden was inaugurated, he talked a lot about unity in his inaugural address. But there's no issue more divisive or polarizing than abortion. And by supporting tax refunding of abortion, it's clear that Joe Biden has no interest in unity. He has chosen to divide and not unify. He has chosen to polarize and not compromise. So defending the Hyde Amendment needs to be our top priority this summer. Tens of thousands of unborn lives are at stake. Now, I go on and on about President Biden. The Catholic League has cited 32 ways he's departed from Catholic teaching during his first few months in office. He's undermined the culture of life in many ways. He's repealed the Mexico City policy, so foreign aid dollars now go to NGOs that perform or promote abortions. He's removed restrictions on fetal tissue research. He's made it easier for women to obtain chemical abortion drugs.